This episode of Liquid Ladder was brought to you by Genshin Impact. Welcome to the official Among Us imposter tier list. I was voted the best imposter in Among Us history by both the developers of the game, God, and my parents, so I'm the only one qualified to make this an objectively accurate tier list for Among Us imposters. And I'm taking the condom off. I'm going to tell you right now there are going to be some feelings getting hurt here, but just know the truth doesn't have feelings. You deserve to be where I put you. It is completely accurate, so buckle down and get ready for the truth. So we'll go ahead and start. This is going to be an S through F tier list, with the exception of having one category above S. This is the Mastermind Mega Supreme Intelligence category, where I alone sit on this throne. I'm undefeated in ranked Among Us lobbies. I've never even been caught in a ranked Among Us lobbies. I literally slap all 6.5 inches of my meat across cheeks when I play ranked Among Us. I'm a pioneer of imposter strats, coming up with the signature ones you've probably heard of by now, such as the AFK strat, where you pretend you're not playing for 2 rounds, then you make a kill, go back to pretending to be AFK, and no one suspects you. As far as Among Us goes, it would take someone eating every apple from the tree of knowledge to even come close to challenging my intellect as the imposter, which is why I am at the top of this food chain. Now that you've wet yourself after that resume, let's start moving down the list. I'm going to start with the most popular ones first to immediately slap them on this bad boy, so we're going to start with XQC. When you tune into an XQC Among Us stream, you know you're getting 2 things: tinnitus from all of his screaming and shouting, and some actual really good plays. Not everyone's going to be able to appreciate XQC's playstyle because it is pretty aggressive and at times overbearing, but the man's like a human polygraph in an Among Us lobby. He can sniff out a lie from a mile away and he pounces on that shit like a hungry wild animal. But when XQC's on imposter, he is a virtuoso. He makes some extremely smart kills, he always has good alibis, he makes sure that he has an entire fucking lore set up for what he was doing in that entire round, and it's always very convincing. When XQC and I got imposter in the last ranked Among Us lobby we played, it was the cleanest victory of the day. I think it was like a fucking 45-second round of actual gameplay. He knows the ins and outs of being an imposter and what's required to throw people off his trail. All this in consideration, XQC sits tightly in the A tier, and the only reason XQC is not in the S tier is because he doesn't recognize when a lobby is supposed to be more casual. He's always extremely competitive, like he's fighting to prove he's the smartest person on Twitch at all times. So because he doesn't dial it back for the casual lobbies he joins in, sometimes the lobby will just vote him out just because they don't want it to be super serious, so he becomes his own worst enemy in those cases, and that's the only reason he's not S tier. He's extremely good at the game, very competent, and playing with him, even though it is extremely sweaty, it is still fun. I've only done it a handful of times, but I did enjoy it. And I'd like to take a bit of a break here and sit you by the fireplace and tell you about a lovely new game that just came out called Genshin Impact. Genshin Impact is a brand new, exciting open-world action RPG game that is available right now. Explore the incredible world of Teyvat by walking, climbing, swimming, and gliding throughout the beautiful vistas the world presents to you. Take power over several natural elements to best fight dangerous foes with the exciting elemental combat system. Are you going up against pyro enemies? Bust out your hydro character to best take care of that problem. That's right. Not only is the game beautiful, it's also incredibly fun. Level up your characters by completing exciting story quests, or you can even team up with friends to engage in even more exhilarating gameplay options. Receive exciting game launch rewards by playing now. There's lots of rewards up for grabs to further grow and expand your characters. So if you're interested in playing Genshin Impact, you can find it for PC at the link below in the description, or it's also on PS4 and iOS and Android devices. So definitely feel free to check it out if you're looking for a brand new adventure in a nice, wonderful new world. So yeah, now moving on to Disguised Toast. Disguised Toast is to Among Us what Mike Tyson was to boxing, a reputation that extends well beyond the sport that they're in. Disguised Toast is like the boogeyman of Among Us. He's fucking scary to even think about being in the same lobby with, because if you're imposter, you know you're not gonna pull a fast one over Toast. You have to either headhunt him immediately or get extremely lucky that he's deciding not to call you out, because it's like playing against an actual supercomputer. Disguised Toast on Crewmate is extremely smart. He always knows who the imposter is at all times. I feel like he's fucking aimbotting or something, toggling on knowledge. But when he's imposter, goddamn, Disguised Toast will kill you in front of the whole group and then convince the group that it was actually just a suicide. He is really smart with his kills, and he's really, really great at wiggling himself out of a tough corner as imposter. Disguised Toast, this is an easy S tier. Even when he's not taking it seriously, which I don't really see him do too much anymore anyway, he's still right on point with everything he does in the game. He's a well-oiled fucking machine. Now moving on to Trainwrecks, another massive name in the Among Us scene right now, and for good reason. Trainwrecks is like an actual prolific writer when it comes to his imposter stories. He's like the Stephen King of imposters. When he does rarely erase suspicion when he's on imposter, he's able to construct this elaborate story about what he was doing that round with some pathing that makes so much sense, and then he's able to make compelling arguments against the other players in the lobby, so then they start fighting each other. He just turns this entire thing on its head and has mutiny arise in the lobby, where then all of a sudden they forget Trainwrecks was ever even a suspect. It's like he's able to hit the entire lobby with this Men in Black neuralizer, where they just totally forget Trainwrecks was ever even around any bodies or anything at all. So this is an easy one. Trainwrecks, in my opinion, definitely S tier. No doubt about that. Next up is PewDiePie. Felix has the worst luck when it comes to getting imposter in Among Us. We've played cumulatively probably like 9 or 10 hours of Among Us together, and I think I've only seen him on imposter 2, maybe 3 times. And of those 2 or 3 times, I know for a fact he's won twice, because this fucking asshole always left me alive until the end, had me vouch for him, and then goes against what I say, and then votes me off or some shit in the end and then wins. So Felix is making it like real personal here. Like, it's hard for me, like, I view him as like a raid boss of an imposter when he's in the lobby with me. Like, if he's imposter, I know I'm probably gonna lose, because I can never say it's Felix, because Felix either dies immediately, like he goes into the round, has a fucking heart attack and dies as the first death, or he makes it to the end, he's the imposter and I've already vouched for him, and then I get betrayed. So I'm just gonna go ahead and slap Felix at a B tier imposter here. His Achilles heel is just shit RNG. He never gets imposter, so I haven't seen enough from it. All I know is that when he's imposter, my cheeks are gonna get slapped around and just confused. But yeah, just because he never gets imposter, I haven't seen enough of it to raise him on the tier list, which isn't his fault. Moving on, Jacksepticeye, my fucking boy Sean. Sean on imposter is always impressively deceitful. He's able to constantly garner the trust of the whole lobby through like these totally isolated kills that he does early on and then spends the rest of the round with the whole group, so that way no one ever suspects that it's Sean. He's able to find people that just go out on their own to jerk off near a vending machine on one of the maps and kill them and then go back to the group, so you never know how fresh the kill is, and since most people assume a body is new, they just immediately write off Sean because he spent the last like fucking 3 minutes with the group faking tasks or just being near them and watching. So they never really think it's Sean who branched off and got the kill. He's really good at that. I'd say that's his definite signature playstyle, and it's really effective. When Sean gets imposter, he rarely gets caught. In fact, most of the time Sean gets caught, it's based off of just fucking around, where we're doing like speed run, where we're just shouting out names and going full caveman and voting off of it. Rarely does Sean ever actually get caught in lies or caught red-handed, so Sean to me is definitely an A tier on the Among Us imposter tier list, and I think it could be S tier if he got it more often, but again, it's pretty rare for Sean to get imposter from the games we've played. Next up is Valkyrie. Valkyrie I always think is imposter when she's crewmate and never suspect her when she actually is imposter. She always is like super passionate about the info she's dumping out there in the lobby, and it always makes sense. You're like, well shit. You can kind of see that she's telling the truth based on how she's saying it. So she's able to convey this level of like authenticity to everything she says, which makes it really hard to figure out when she's imposter. And when she is imposter, she's fucking vicious when it comes to weaknesses in a story. Like if I say something that all like kind of doesn't make sense, she attacks that shit like it's the weak spot on a fucking RPG boss. She goes in on that and turns the whole lobby against you. Then all of a sudden you're questioning your own story like, shit, I guess Valkyrie was right. Maybe I am the imposter, even though you're totally fucking innocent here, just a totally normal Boy Scout doing your fucking tasks. The only thing Valkyrie does on imposter that sometimes gets her fucked over is she takes these extremely risky kills. Like she'll be making some kind of statement, like she'll headhunt somebody and just execute them in front of the whole classroom to see. And that sometimes, you know, isn't the best play to make, because then she'll get called out and voted off pretty early for that. But overall, I think Valkyrie sits comfortably in the A tier. Moving on now, we're going to Corpse. Corpse in Among Us is just genuinely terrifying. Corpse's voice is enough to inspire fear in the whole lobby where no one really wants to say anything against him because his voice is just so incredibly powerful. It's like everything he says has to be true, and like this wave of both fear and respect washes over you as the player in the lobby. Corpse gets imposter more times than anyone I've ever played with and wins more as imposter than anyone I've ever seen. He's always able to completely throw people to somebody else by picking apart even the most minute inconsistencies in someone else's story during his imposter round, and nobody ever really questions Corpse. He has this signature move where he kills and instantly self-reports and just randomly picks somebody to accuse, and since it's Corpse, they just believe his accusation. It's incredible. Corpse has admitted he's the imposter during a lobby, and people just don't believe him. He can kill you and then convince you that it wasn't him that killed you. This is an easy S tier for me. Corpse definitely in the S tier. Next up is Some Ordinary Gamers, Mutahar. Mutahar is, as Andrew put it, an idiot savant. Mutahar gets absolutely no part of his accusations accurate with what somebody actually did that round, but the actual core accusation, who he's accusing, is always the imposter. He has this like sixth sense where he knows who the imposter is, but can never get anything accurate about why they're the imposter. He just somehow always knows and doesn't even know himself why he knows. But that's not him as the imposter. Mutahar as the imposter is not the best in the world, but it's probably the most entertaining. Mutahar, I feel, just immediately kills when it's off cooldown. He'll just kill you like in the middle of a hallway where there's 3 people coming up that just watched him run by. And Mutahar has this tell where he just doesn't talk when he's imposter, whereas in every other round he is extremely talkative. So, I mean, he's not the best imposter in the world, but definitely one of the most entertaining. Mutahar, I'm going to put at the C tier. And while we're down here playing in the kiddie pool at the C tier, I'll go ahead and add another entry into this tier. It's going to be Jackson of Podcast, Moist Meter, and the tier series, that Jackson. Yeah, he's not great as imposter. He'll make some really smart kills, but the second someone even suspects him, he has no defense. He just rolls over and shows his asshole. Like if someone's like, well, I saw Jackson go over kind of near the body. He's like, nope, I disagree. Then you'll have 2 other people be like, no, but Jackson, you were going that way. And he just keeps saying, no, I disagree. So he's, you know, He's too honest. He's too honest of a boy to be a great imposter, but he makes some good plays sometimes, but unfortunately I'm have to do my boy Jackson a little dirty and plop him here into the C tier. Next up is Pokimane. I've only played with her 1 time, and I think she got imposter 3 times in a row and then never again. But in those 3 games, she went on a little bit of a rampage in one of them where she clutched out a big fucking dubski. So I don't have a whole lot to go on. I don't have a whole deep analysis like a John Madden type deal for Pokimane, but based off of those like 3 imposter games she got back to back to back, she did pretty well, especially in one of them. So I'm just going to go ahead and go with B tier for the same reason as Felix. I just don't have enough data as from her as an imposter to go any deeper than that. So Pokimane sitting comfortably to B tier. Next up is Michael Reeves. Again, I've only played with Michael 1 time, and I think it was his first time ever touching a goddamn computer game, judging by what was happening with our game. Michael Reeves would like fucking sprint into walls and then talk about how he was reading like GameFAQs tutorials on how sabotaging worked. So he'd basically just tell you that he was learning imposter as he was playing imposter. So Michael Reeves, I imagine just chalking it up to being brand new to the game. He wasn't, you know, a superstar, but by the end of the stream I played with him, he really did get the hang of it. He'd kill me and then vent across the map, convince everyone he was there the whole time. So he made some big plays as he got his dick wet in the game. So I definitely think he has a lot of potential to grow. But just from that day of playing with him, I'm going to go ahead and slap him as well into the C tier. He also, every time someone would talk about a body, he'd start laughing about it and like smile like, no, it wasn't me. So, you know, he wasn't out there for the, you know, the sweat of it. He was out there just for the fun of it, and that's what really matters. But objectively, as an imposter, Michael, he's sitting at a C tier. Next up into the Thunderdome is Summit 1G. Summit 1G plays the game extremely laid back and relaxed at all times, so it makes it very hard to know when he's imposter and when he's not, because he's still just as relaxed about everything. So then, you know, he'll be like, yeah, I was yawning or something like that, and you're like, oh, that makes sense, you know, that sounds about right. And then it turns out he's the imposter and you've just had your ass spread for you. He's very convincing just because of how laid back he is. The one time we were imposters together, we were just so in sync, reading each other's mind. We got a nice double kill to start the round off, and then suspicion was thrown everywhere but onto us, and it just cascaded like that because he plays it very laid back. I'm not typically just going fucking wild into the mic either, so it worked really well. Him being just so relaxed in his playstyle makes him very hard to read. I'm plopping Summit 1G at an A tier imposter. Moving on to Nogla. Nogla's just another player that's so well-rounded at every aspect of this game. If he's trying to win, he's probably going to win on either crewmate or imposter. Like, this guy, he's got it fucking figured out. He can absolutely mess around and just throw games for fun, but when he's actually, like, putting on that brain power, hopping into Cerebro and reading some minds, he is all over this shit. Nogla, at all aspects of the game, is super fucking good, but on imposter specifically, he makes some really good calls and some really convincing arguments against totally innocent people, where the people he accused just start backing down because it's just so overwhelming. I'm putting Nogla at an S tier. Next up is Ludwig. Ludwig's got a big fucking brain. This man was an English major. He'll toss out words you could only dream of figuring out. When he's imposter, his plan is simple: confuse everybody else. He'll just toss around words like bloviating and shit like that. Randomly, he'll just say sarcophagus. Like, it's impossible to get a read on this guy. He makes good calls on imposter, Vince away. He just plays the game very fundamentally sound. He's not a superstar. He's not going wild out there making some, ESPN top plays moments, but he's methodical. He's consistent, and he's impossible to pin. Just because of his large lexicon of words, his vernacular is nothing shy of impressive. I'm putting this boy at an A tier. Moving on now to Hugbee's Andrew. Andrew is new to the game, but he's really getting the handle on it super quickly. He doesn't get imposter overly often, but when he does, he either makes the most of it or immediately fucks himself in his own ass. Andrew will like to strike very quickly, and if he gets anywhere caught or even close to suspected, he kind of just rolls over on it. He makes a lot of, growing pain mistakes where he'll lock doors in front of his own fucking face with a body behind him. So he's got room to grow, but he absolutely does make some incredible clutches and really is popping off recently. So I'm going to go ahead and put Andrew at a B tier with room to climb up the tier list as he keeps continuing. Lily Pichu is next. Lily Pichu I've only played with once, and she got imposter a lot of times in a row, and I think she just got fucking tired of being imposter because she just wildly kill and be like, yeah, it just wasn't me. But when she was buckling down and really striving for the championship cup, Lily was making some pretty impressive plays. I saw her vent one time, and that wasn't enough evidence to convict her because she just sounds so sincere when she's like, no, that wasn't me. And that works really well. If you're able to convey passion and sincerity even when you're lying, that's a talent. So that definitely panned out well. Lily got a couple wins off of just that tactic right there. She even betrayed Michael Reeves' trust right to his face, just absolutely wiped her ass with it and won the game off of it. So she was vicious. And for that, and just because I don't have a whole ton of data, I'm placing Lily Pichu at a B tier. Next up is Cory Kenshin. Cory Kenshin, in the entirety of the games we played together, would pretty much immediately nail who the imposters were based off of so little evidence. It was incredibly impressive. But on imposter, everyone was always skeptical of Cory until it was towards the end of the game. Cory was really great at garnering a lot of trust based off of these totally accurate accusations from his crew game. So when he did get imposter and he tossed out another accusation, people were like, fuck, well, I mean, he's got to be right again because he was right the other fucking 300 times. So Cory on imposter was pretty fearsome, but he didn't get it very much when we played together. So I'm just going to go ahead and put Cory at a B tier here just because I didn't see a whole ton of imposter gameplay. But the ones I did see, I'm pretty sure he won them. Next up is T-Pain. Yes, that T-Pain. T-Pain is a veteran Among Us player who transcends the tier list. I can't even put T-Pain in this fucking standard tier list. He's just well above and beyond that. I'm putting T-Pain in his own category, which is just legend. I don't think I need to expand on why he's in that category. Fun to play with, beelines his tasks, even at the cost of his own life. He is very task-oriented as a crewmate, professional crewmate. When he's imposter, he goes absolutely wild. It turns into a real maniac. Next up is GB. GB is the most common collected player in Among Us. She only gives out information and only really answers questions when they're asked of her. It's really smart as the imposter because she's never throwing out accusations. She's only giving factually accurate information that never really seems to pin anything on anyone, so no one's ever like, GB's trying to get somebody out, she must be the imposter. It's very smart. And she never really goes super deep into things where she starts over-explaining herself. It's just, yep, I was here, they were there, they were with me, this fucking happened. It's like she's reading a history textbook. It's really smart, so GB typically does well as imposter, but I haven't seen her on imposter too many times. It's just the ones I have seen her on she's done well with. I'm just going to go with a B tier just because, again, the data set is incomplete. Next up is Hassan, and I've only seen Hassan on imposter a couple of times, and the only ones that I can remember off the top of my head, he went for these like ginormous dick plays where he'd take like this extremely risky kill and then bank it all on his ability to talk himself out of the corner that he was pushed in. Like when somebody saw Hassan do the kill or knows it was Hassan coming from that direction where the body was found, they throw Hassan against the lockers and then start throwing the accusations out. And then he'll just try and turn it around that it was the other person who did it and just go for like a 50-50, like, look, it was this guy, but just vote me out and vote this guy out. So he just tries to throw everything on someone that accused him of it. So he just hits him with the no you defense. And I've seen it work. He has had it work in his favor before. But I've also seen that crash and burn quite a couple times as well. So I'm just going to put Hassan safely at a B tier imposter at the moment. Next one is Lyric. So Lyric, I think I only saw Lyric on imposter a single time in the game we played together. And he got so fucking unlucky with one of his kills. I don't remember exactly what happened. But I remember Lyric had like committed a kill and then ran over the body, like trampled it, and somebody called him out on it. And he just kind of just joked around about the whole thing. So I think Lyric just is there for a good time, which means a lot to me, because I mean Among Us is just supposed to be fun in the first place. Just sweating about it's not the most fun in the world. Just kicking back, goofing off, I think that's what it's all about. And Lyric on imposter during that round that I can recall definitely was fun. And I know for a fact he did win another one actually, so I did see him on more than one. I'm just going to go ahead and put Lyric at B tier regardless. And now on to the final entry into the tier list. Now keep in mind there's plenty more that I wanted to put on the tier list, but just it's getting to be an extremely long video already. I want to finish this off with the granddaddy of Among Us, the founder basically of Among Us, even more important to Among Us than the developers themselves, Sodapoppin. Sodapoppin basically brought this in front of the classroom and pulled its pants down and showed everyone the glory of Among Us. So I think Sodapoppin also deserves his own category on this tier list. Not only is it extremely fun when he plays it because he's not trying his hardest to win, but he really did bring everyone's attention to this game, and now so many people have fallen in love with it. So it's a big thank you to Sodapoppin for that. That's going to be the end of the tier list here. Just know that all of these are 100% accurate based on scientific data collected by me. And yeah, that's about it. See ya.